This episode is sponsored by Micro Focus and the LoadRunner Solutions family. That includes LoadRunner Professional, Enterprise, Cloud, and Developer. You know, performance matters. Did you know that LoadRunner Solutions have the largest community of practitioners in the world? Join that community at community.microfocus.com, scan the QR code, and check out the LoadRunner family page on performance engineering, as well as their YouTube playlist that we've got links for in the show notes on smcjournal.com as well as YouTube. This episode is sponsored by Performance Lab. They're a provider of premier load and performance testing services for enterprises in all industries. They focus on a robust methodology, tools, and the experienced engineers that know what they're doing. Since 2008, they have built a reputation for reliability worldwide. BoomQ is their own innovative performance testing platform. However, they also consult around many industry standard load testing tools like JMeter, LoadRunner, and others. Find out more at performancelabus.com. This episode is sponsored by Total Performance Consulting. They provide the highest quality performance engineering, automation, QA, and development services possible, and they've been doing so since 2006. With hundreds of years of combined experience in performance engineering, they've helped countless companies tackle and solve complex performance challenges. They can help you with your application performance testing, analysis, remediation, infrastructure evaluation, monitoring setup and analysis, performance testing in a CI/CD pipeline, and many other services that will help your company get, keep, and extend your competitive edge. Get more details at totalperform.com. So I'm on the road driving, and windshield time really clarifies the mind. So as I'm thinking about it, I figured I would stop and tell you 5 reasons why performance testing sucks in your organization. Yeah, I said it. Let's count down. Number 5 is an underbalance between front-end and back-end performance testing. You know, these days everybody's concerned about browser rendering time, and we want end-user times to be really, really good, but it seems to be a lost art nowadays to performance test the back-end as well, especially as we move everything to the cloud because we have unlimited resources in the cloud. What most organizations find out later, they have good timings for an end-user experience, but they're spending a lot of money on that cloud because they're over provisioning for the resources and they haven't made it efficient. And remember, performance engineering isn't just about speed, it's about efficiency. So many times there's another wave of activity to make those resources efficient on the back end after you've tested the front end. So it's like a 2-phase approach. They need to be thought about at the same time. Sometimes that's a different set of skills, sometimes it's the same group, but an overemphasis or a de-emphasis on one or the other, front end versus back end, will get you in some trouble. So think about both of them before you start your performance testing. Number 4 is also an issue of balance and control, because I call it overshifting, undershifting, or wrong shifting. We've had this emphasis on shifting left over the last few years, but that's kind of gotten us into a little bit of trouble because as we've tried to shift everything over to the left, as if we were in a boat, we would capsize it because we've tried to cram too much into that space. It's a great catchphrase to shift left because we want feedback early and often in a life cycle with limited scope. But if we can't forget about the right shifting as well, which means we still need that integrated test towards the end of the life cycle, but not the emphasis of performance testing or testing performance into the application. So many years ago, there was an overemphasis on the right-hand side where we only found out about performance problems right before production release, and that was a problem. Now we've got this overemphasis on the left-hand side where everything just has to be pushed into a pipeline to get feedback early, but we still end up with performance problems in production because we've forgotten about doing the legitimate performance testing on the right-hand side as well, with a different set of scope. It's a different scope when you're on the left-hand side dealing with fewer features and just a couple of days of work versus a major release with all of these different components put together. So again, a balance issue between the two. Focus on both and do both well, and you won't run into that trouble. Number 3, always talking about an imbalance of skill sets. Number 1, not emphasizing training. There needs to be training and mentoring, and people need to know what they're doing when they're doing performance engineering. Having the wrong skill sets or having the wrong people doing the performance testing who have a different set of skills, who may be more skilled in functional testing or security testing or finding those other kinds of defects versus somebody who emphasizes performance, that can be a recipe for trouble. So understanding the right people with the right skill sets, putting them in place to do the performance testing. Their title might not even be performance engineer. It might be site reliability engineering, it might be network engineer, it might be developer, but the person with the right skill sets, the right background to do the performance engineering to get the right results is the key. If you have somebody who's really too technical and they want to get focused on the scripting piece versus the analysis piece, then you might run into trouble with not getting good results out of your test. On the other side, if you only focus on analysis, but you don't understand the technicalities of what you have to do to make the performance test realistic, and you don't have those technical skill sets to do what needs to be done at the code level of the script, of the automated script, that can be a problem as well. So again, balance is the key. Number 2 has to do with saying that you're DevOps, but not being DevOps, where the silos aren't truly broken. And really, this comes down to better communication. Some companies think that just because they now have CI/CD pipelines, they're now DevOps. Just because you may have reduced some toil in your company doesn't mean you're truly DevOps. The whole concept of dev and ops, with QA being in the dev circle, is a communication of truly breaking down the silos so that both groups are talking to one another, getting feedback to each other, and having that cycle go on where things get better over time. If your organization truly hasn't taken down those silos and still everything seems to be so compartmentalized where the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, you're still going to struggle with things like performance, and not just performance, but other things as well. So you really need to truly analyze, are you DevOps in the sense of you have merged these organizations to the point where they know how to communicate effectively to make software better? If not, you have more of a process problem than any kind of technical or tool problem. And the number 1 issue why performance testing sucks in your organization is when you have a checkbox mentality. I still don't understand how in this current year we still have people who think that performance testing is just a checkbox activity, and as long as we say that we've done it, we should be fine. And I'm not just talking about the old, oh, let's just do the checkbox list at the end of the testing cycle and say, yeah, we ran a load test or a performance test at the very end, we've done it, go ahead and release it. I'm talking about making that early testing, that shift left testing, a checkbox item as well. Well, we created all the functional tests, we created all the API tests, and we added performance testing into our continuous lifecycle approach, but it's still a checkbox, and the results of that test really isn't even looked at anymore. And some of the alerts and things that you might have set up to generate some kind of alarm to the company may not even be working. How many times is it revisited to make sure that what you're testing is right? And this really gets back to understanding business context. If you have totally removed your performance testing or any of your testing, and you've and this includes observability and monitoring as well. If you've removed that from the context of the business, you are asking for serious trouble. So if the mentality is still a checkbox, you're probably going to suck in your organization. You're still going to be fighting with performance issues, and nobody wants that. So don't suck at performance. Don't do these things. Do the right thing. Make performance engineering and performance testing a priority. And you'll notice there are three kind of themes here. It's about control or balance of control. It's about communication, where we really need to break those silos down and communicate effectively. And then it's about context, business context involved in everything that you do. I think that's the secret. And you know, what can I say? Windshield time just really clarifies what I wanted to say. So I'm glad I was able to share it. Have a great day. See you on the road.